Hi, I'm your host, Dimpho Mokhale. Welcome to Book Talks that speaks to health, education, entrepreneurship, and so much more. On today's episode, we have an interesting guest, right? We're going to learn about hotness. And when I mean hotness, I mean chili, Chilli. And I'm going to speak to the founder, Boikano. Let's welcome her. How are you, Boikano?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Did you ride well today?
Oh yeah, I think I did.
Did you ride fantastically?
I think so, I believe so.
Yes, proudly South African, receive the earrings. Yes, you came with it. You came representing our country, for sure. Let's get into the first question. I mean, we want to know more about you. Who is Boikano and where do you hail from?
Okay, so my name is Boikano, Sikwane. I'm a girl from the northwest, from a village called Inogana. I'm currently living in Centurion. I'm a mother, I'm a wife, I'm a grandmother. I am an entrepreneur, I'm a friend, I'm a cousin, I'm a member of the community. Yes.
An all-rounder. So now that you have stepped into the industry of hospitality, more importantly food, why was it? You could have stepped into any industry. Why food?
Well, I think it was kind of the industry that stepped into me. So food is easy for someone like me who is a natural homemaker. And when the opportunity came to create a product that is well loved, and then scale it up into a business, it was just an easy fit, you know. The product was naturally well loved in the community I live in, amongst friends. So as I say, it was easy to then scale it up into a formal business.
And Chilli, where did you begin Chilli, and why Chilli? Why Chillis, in fact?
So that's an interesting one. So when we started with the product, it wasn't always called Chilli, but when we started with the product, it was more from how do you make chakalaka more interesting? How do you make it bring in vibe, you know? And that's where it kind of started. And eventually we removed all the other elements of your typical chakalaka and then just worked on having a chili. Chilies, unlike your typical other... Well, I don't want to call them typical, but I'm going to call them typical. Like something like your acha, which is well known in South Africa, Chilli is more global as a product. So it was more attractive for us to work on a chili product more than any other chili condiment that might be out there. And we decided to just make it differentiate ours in other ways than what is typically on the market at the moment.
So what makes Chilli unique? I mean, you've spoken of acha, which is relevant to South Africa and known to South Africans. But no, what makes Chilli different from any other condiment out there?
Well, so Chilli, I think more than anything, it is we use about 75% to 80% of chilies in our product. And that is 3 different chilies that we put in. The rest of the vegetables, such as to help us tone the hotness of the product, as well as add flavor into the product. Chili is more global, and it is much more... you can play around with it, you know, it's more acceptable. You can do so much more. You can cook with it. You can use it as is. People order chopped chili all the time in its rawness. People have been known to eat raw chilies. So chilies is very versatile and flexible in how you can use it, and therefore how you can actually scale it and make different types of products from it, unlike your typical acha.
In terms of production, because you spoke about scale earlier, how much do you produce and how do your products go for?
Okay, so our production differs. On a typical day, we can make about 1,000 to 1,200 bottles, right? But how many days we spend on production depends on our orders. So one of the biggest things about our product is that it does not have preservatives, any artificial preservatives. So we cannot really artificially prolong its life. Shelf life. So our product typically stays for about a year on the shelf before opening, which means that we do not do a lot at a time. We try to manage how much we can do. But as I say, typically on a production day, we can do about 1,000. On a typical month, we can make anything between 10,000 bottles or more.
Yeah. And I see here you have different flavors and different tastes. Can you explain each?
Okay, yes.
Yeah.
So we've got three flavors.
Yeah.
The first one is original.
Okay.
So original is our medium level of heat. We call it original because it was the first one that we did.
Yeah.
After that, after introducing it to the market, there were a few people who wanted it a little bit milder.
Yeah.
And then there were those who were like, no, man, it doesn't have enough kick.
Yeah.
So we had to make it hotter.
Yeah.
So original is a medium one. So mild being the least hot.
Okay.
Original being then the medium one, and then hot being the hottest that we have right now.
Okay. And which one is your hot sellers from here?
So hot is the hottest seller, contrary to to what people would expect, especially because normally when we introduce a product to potential customers, we always suggest that you start with tasting the mild. So mild is our mildest, the mildest that we have, but it still has a kick. It has a punch that is more than what the market brings in as some hots.
True.
So if you want to really start, you can start with mild. Even for people who say that they are chili lovers, I always say start with our mild, because our mild is not your normal mild.
True.
And then build it up to hot. And then I think what happens is that after a while, then people just get used to the hotness, the heat that comes with mild, and then they keep moving up. Then I think that is how we get to hot being the hottest seller amongst all our platforms, whether it's retail, shelves, online. We always have to produce more hot than any of the flavors, and we have to produce mild the least because it doesn't have as much demand. It's the one that stays on the shelf longer.
And upon my research, like in the name itself, it says chak, right? So now, in the type of chilies that you use, are there different type of chilies that you use per se, or is it the same chili but you amp it up with other ingredients for that kick?
No, so I think the biggest kick comes from the chili itself. So we've got like 3 different chilies. We use red chilies, green chilies, and habanero. Habanero being the one that brings that heat more than anything, more than the kick. I think that is what people actually feel more on these last 2, unlike this one. We don't put any any habanero in the mild.
Okay.
So mild, that is why we also know that it is mild. Doesn't have habanero. Our spice mix is lower. So the kick comes from, all the heat comes from the habanero. I think the kick is just naturally in chilies itself.
Yeah. And where does the name for chak chili stem from?
Okay, so as I said in the beginning, we are not always chak chili, but then when we rebranded, we wanted a name that will be telling the story to the customer before they even open the jar.
Yeah.
So Chuck being from Chuck Norris, Chuck Norris being known to give hard kicks, hard punches.
Yeah.
So we wanted that to come in, and the chili obviously just for someone to know that inside you're not going to find an archer, you're going to find chilies. So that's what we were aiming for.
All right. And in terms of your message, like you spoke earlier, do you distribute to flea markets, retail, online? Where do you market your business?
We started with markets generally in the beginning before we could get our our feet into the formal retail spaces.
Yeah.
We did a lot of markets. We used to do markets maybe sometimes twice, 3 times in a week. And that really worked for us because it got the product out there through to a lot of people that we typically would not have been able to reach.
Yeah.
And then we soon then got into a few spas. And as we grew, we then got into even more spas. We got into Food Lovers Market nationwide. We are in a few checker stores, about 10 checker stores in Gauteng. We are at Take a Lot. We distribute through Zulzi.com, which is a brilliant platform that is just as new as us. And our website is not so busy as it used to be before we got into those other ones. And butcheries, a few butcheries.
Okay. Interesting.
And that is how we market.
With your ingredients and your products, are you able to collaborate with chefs, for example?
Yeah, so we have done it previously with a few chefs, and how we did it or how it happened was actually informal. It was just people who loved the product, and then when they started creating dishes, they would try adding chili into it, and then get feedback from their customers, send us that feedback and say, this is where I used it. I used it in my pasta dish, in my potato salad. I made a marinade out of it and whatever. So yes, we have done it, though not formal. But
And what has the response been from the market that you've seen? Okay, we can take this to another level.
So people love chili. It's one of the biggest thing with chili is the addictiveness of it.
Yeah.
Which is typical of chili, by the way.
Yeah.
So chili is very addictive in nature. But chili, because of its versatility, we find that once people start buying it, using it in their everyday, whether it's in the cooking or the sandwiches or salads, they just can't stop. And people don't like it when it's not on the shelf. So they love it. Yeah, it has allowed us to then grow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In terms of looking inside of the business, how many employees were you able to employ or are able to employ?
We, at the moment, run a team of 8 that is just outside of me and my business partner on very, very busy peak periods of production. We have used 12. But I would say that on average, our typical team consists of 8 people in the factory,
All right. So in terms of your products, where do you manufacture your products?
We are based at the River Science Incubation Hub, which is in Riverside, next to Diepsloot and Stain City.
Yeah.
It's a hub, as in it's a factory site for small businesses. Okay. Not really incubated as such. We are not really incubated. What they do, they encourage small business owners to create their own path, but where we need help, they're always there to help us.
All right.
Where we need assistance, they have lots of areas where they can assist us.
Okay, and I would like to know what is inside these bottles in terms of ingredients.
Okay, so as I said, we are 70 to 80% chilies, different chilies. After that, we add green beans, we add onions, we add green pepper. All those are actually listed on our label. It is a requirement. And after that, we have our own special mix blend that then brings everything together and gives chili that distinctive aroma and taste.
All right. And in terms of your chilies, do you chop them very finely or do you chop them in chop chunks?
So we have chunks. The chilies are in chunks. We don't blend our product.
Okay.
So they are sliced or chopped with different machines, but they have to retain their chunkiness.
Okay.
Yeah, and then we cook our product, and how we keep it standing for long, basically you'll see there on the ingredient list, we don't add any artificial preservatives or colorants.
Yeah.
So sometimes a bottle of mild will look more greener because unfortunately the chilies look like that in that season, it changes like that all the time.
And you've previously mentioned that before opening, it lasts for a year, right?
Yes.
So after opening, how long can you store it for?
Well, if you can keep it for a week without finishing it, that would be, that's always amazing.
Yeah.
But we guarantee for up to two months. So the biggest secret with after opening is that you have to keep it in the fridge.
Okay.
And I always say that a chak chili bottle that has no oil in it is not nice. Okay. So I always say that before you start serving it or eating it and consuming it, try to just stir it a bit, stir the bottle so that you get the oil mixed with all the other ingredients, because the oil tends to come up a bit. So
to start the business like Chak Chilli, did you receive any funding from any government institution, or was this like solely independently your baby or your pet project, and you were like, I'm going to build from here?
So in the beginning, in the founding stages, were all self-funded.
Yeah.
We started the business in my garage, and then as soon as we could, or at a point where we then needed to scale up and to try and semi-automize our process for efficiency, then we got a lot of help. We got help from CEDA for our machinery. We got help from the Department of Agriculture for our machinery, as well as training on food safety and consultation on food safety practices.
Yeah.
We have received... I'm trying to think who else. Well, SABS was through CEDA because our products were tested for different things at CEDA. I mean, at SABS, including shelf life, nutritional information, and all of that. We work with companies like CGCSA, which are not necessarily straight government, but work with government in some way. So we have had quite a bit of assistance from different arms of government.
Now, curious from the statement that you said, how does agriculture play a role into Chak Chilli?
Well, we are an agro-processing company. We take primary agricultural products. We process them into something that is different, but still these are vegetables that are in the product. So that is how.
And are there any launches in the future for Chak Chillis, or any brands that you'd like to work with as Chak Chillis?
Well, in terms of brands, it's always great, I think, to work with brands. At the moment, we are working with Proudly South African as one of their members, and they have worked with us a lot. We are under SANAS, so our product is halal approved for those customers who follow that kind of religion or eating preference. So we have that, and we are always looking to be ambassadors and members of any organization that that is pro South African products, pro empowerment of women, pro youth empowerment and employment. We are big, almost, I think, firstly, I'm the oldest member of my team. So, and then I think about 90% of our team is people who are under the age of 25 that have been upskilled, learned a lot. So anything that is around that, we are ready and excited to collaborate with.
Yeah. Now, since that we've spoken about youthful people, that you hire people under the age of 25, how has that transitioned empowered them as an owner, seeing them grow? How does that make you feel?
It's been so great. I've seen youth who who look despondent and who look like there's absolutely nothing there for them to do. Either they have finished primary education, basic education rather, up to matric, or some of them haven't even, and they're just going around and they don't know where to start. There are a lot of people who don't know what to do. They've got no particular talent, no particular passion, and I found that getting some of that youth into the company just exposed them to an industry they never thought of. Because in our business, we don't just limit our staff to the point where there is chopping or where there is cooking and packaging. There's food safety management systems that they learn. There is administrative skills that they learn, what is required, what we need to do on a daily basis from the beginning of the production to the end of a production. I've seen how they have become confident because now they know that there is a skill that they have acquired that 4 years or so ago before they joined, they did not have. And anyway, anybody who just has the ability to put food on the table or to even just take care of themselves will always have a better look and, a better walk.
That's
so
for sure.
we love it.
As a woman entrepreneur, what have been your challenges?
Okay, so the first big challenge is me doing my own deliveries because we are still very small. And I find that sometimes just physical, power. But more than anything, on a serious note, I think one of the biggest things for me, especially where I am at the point where I entered the business as a wife already, building a family, having children, just balancing that, being able to allow myself the freedom to leave the family for a while so that I can grow my business with confidence and without guilt and shame and, I don't know, wanting to perhaps have all of them at the same level all the time, which is almost impossible. So that balance has been the big one.
And any successes?
Yeah, we've had a few recognitions with our retail partners. How we got into Food Lovers Market was through one of the competitions, which was the Seeds of Change. It comes every year. I always say to anybody who is in the food processing industry or even in just primary agriculture to try that because Food Lovers Market does that well. So that's how we got there. We did not win the year that we entered, but we managed to get the buyers to see and taste our product, and then they called us to want to be part of that. So that is one of our biggest wins, if I might say so. And we were recognized, I think, at the President's Awards last year. So it's,
Any future plans for Chilli?
The biggest one for us at the moment is to increase our footprint. We are in South Africa. We are in parts of Southern Africa through our retail partners. And we've just got approved by the Ghanaian FDA. So we will soon be taking our product to Ghana. And we want to be able to say that we are a proudly African product, proudly South African product, and a global product, because that is where we will be, We want Chilli to be one of those products that for years to come, South Africans will be proud to say, that's a South African product. We know that product.
Yeah, that's for sure. So what is your message to a young person who might be viewing our show today, or someone who's just like, I'm seeing Chilli doing the things? What is your motivation that you can give them?
Well, actually, for me, the first and biggest thing is that we must stop feeling small. And actually, somebody has said to me, stop calling yourself a small business, because that is one of the things that actually limit us into our growth.
True.
And two, you don't know what you don't know. So take your product, that idea that you have in your head, put it practically into a product or into a service.
Yeah.
Try a few people. Don't get discouraged by a few no's. There will be no's, but amongst those many no's, there will be one yes. Run with that one yes. That one yes will lead to many other yeses and many other doors that are opened.
True.
So whatever it is that you think you want to do, try it. You won't know whether it will succeed or not if all you do is talk about it with yourself or with a few group of people who've never created anything.
That's true. So furthermore, how can we get a hold of Chilli?
The easiest is to get onto our website. If you go to our website, you'll get all our stores. We are, as I said, at all food lovers markets nationally. We are at a few spas, about 50 spas within Gauteng. Within Gauteng, we are at a few checker stores, actually 10 to be specific.
Yeah.
And we are on Take a Lot. So if you want to fill up that basket for that free delivery, actually that's what a lot of people do. They're like, oh, I saw Chilli. Okay, let me just fill up with a couple of bottles. Then I know that I'll be able to get my delivery for free. So takealot.com, zulzi.com, those are our guys as well on online.
And now that you've mentioned you have a website, can you please name your website for us?
Yeah, it's www.chakchilli.co.za.
And are there any contact information as to like phone numbers, for example, that we can reach?
Yes, so it is, our email address is info@chakchilli.co.za and our phone number is 082-529-8343.
Please repeat that for us, for those who didn't hear in the background.
082-529-8343.
Oh man, I would want to say thank you for coming to our show and educating us about Chilli and Chilli as a brand. May you grow exponentially and reach heights. And don't forget to invite us, please.
Oh, yes,
don't
definitely.
Forget to invite us. Me and the crew as well.
Oh, definitely.
And I would like to say thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Thank you.
As Chilli are doing the things, they're doing the Chuck Norris things, punching those doors and punching those holes and exponentially doing amazing things. You can do the things as Chuck Norris does it, Chilli, and may you please engage with them, buy their product, and they would appreciate the feedback, I'm sure, as well. And please tune in next week, or whenever we're hosting and doing the things. I am your host, Dimpa Mkhali. Peace.